Sometimes I get it in my head that I want to make a little music video for one of my builds, and I post it on Twitter, and I got it in my head that I wanted to make a music video montage with this build using the song Die Laughing by the band Blood for Blood. Shout out to Boston Hardcore. So I'm recording footage for like a dang week, most of a weekend and a little bit of a week, to get this footage. And I mean, it was like a whole bunch of hours, and then I have to condense it down into 2 minutes of 2 minutes and 17 seconds, I think, is as long, or maybe it's 19 seconds, something like that. 2 minutes for Twitter's thing, video limit. So anywho, I'm like, I got all this footage, man. What am I gonna do with it? And I decided I would just go ahead and make a few videos going over this build. I'm gonna try and split them up a little bit. I love this build, and you know, just based off the comments that I read from you here on YouTube, it seems like other people like the Pyro build. People just can't get enough of Giant's Flame Take Thee. It's a simple little thing, you know. You just throw a fireball, but it explodes. People love that. It's you gotta give it to From Software. They know what the people want. People want a big exploding fireball. Hey, check this out. This is I can't hit this guy because I got the talisman in my left hand, right? So I was like, well, I'll just swap. Why not? And I love this little mechanic that they've added in Elden Ring. This wasn't always how this worked, but you can swap. If you have something in your left hand and something in your right hand, if you just swap one of them, it will swap them both. So the thing that was in your right hand will go to your left hand. The thing that was in your left hand will go to your right hand. And I love that. I absolutely love it. And it worked out well for us there. Now there's a phantom here. Of course there is. I say this all the time. I am never going to believe that a host is by themselves, you know. I will just never buy it. Especially if you're trying to set me up for some type of trap like this right here. Oh, come on down here, Mr. Invader. Nothing bad will happen, we promise, right? So now that I've got them to reveal their plan, look at the lingering frames of damage on Flaming Strike. That is so brutal. But that's what you get. That's exactly what you get. But yeah, if a host is trying to lure me down here or some other place that's like kind of tricky, like a nice place to spring a trap, my senses are, you know, blaring red sirens. I'm not jumping down there. You out of your mind? Not until I get a feel for what's going on. Now, I have been got before by people who spring a trap, and I see the trap coming, and I'm like, I knew you had a friend, but then another friend shows up, like, way later on. That gets me all the time. You think there's only two of them, and then there's a third one, and he shows up after, like, minutes. Like, you go minutes without seeing a third guy, and then he just appears out of nowhere. I've had that one get me. If you're ever doing some invasions right here, sometimes people love to gank on this bridge. And you see where I'm fighting at? If you can stay around there, that will happen. There's one of those abductor virgins that hangs out right on top there. And if you can make enough noise with your fight right at I want to call that the foot of the bridge. I don't know what that is, but right on the stairs there. If you can hang out there and make enough noise, that abductor virgin will notice the fight and try and help you out. Also, look at that run around backstab on the katana side, on the right hand side. That was spiffy. And then the backstab into Burn O Flame. That is like my favorite thing. I started playing around more with Fire's Deadly Sin, or Flame's Deadly Sin. I forget what it's called. But I never played around with it because there was this glitch in the game that made Fire's Deadly Sin proc any type of status effect that was applied to your weapon while Fire's Deadly Sin and the buff were active at the same time. And it was a really gnarly glitch and pretty cheap. basically people would do it with like when it originally started, people would do it with Death Blight, and they're just constantly building up Death Blight by being near you. And then when they patched the Death Blight version of that glitch, there was a glitch forever where people instead would do Blood Flame Blade. They finally patched it, and it wasn't just a matter of them patching Fire's Deadly Sin so that it didn't do Blood Flame Blade. They straight up changed the entire way that buffs apply now, so that that type of thing won't happen. You know, you're not going to find a Fire's Deadly Sin Frostbite glitch now. You know, that's why it took so long for them to patch that out. It wasn't because they weren't aware of it. It was because, you know, they wanted to make sure that they were just getting the root of the problem as opposed to just one of the symptoms of the problem. It's been an issue for a long time. There have always been buff glitches, you know, that were applied in these games. But we get a little Dante and Virgil action here. The poor Virgil was already at half health. I thought he was holding back to be like honorable, but then it turns out he was just holding back because he was hoping his friend could, you know, take care of it because he only had half a bar of health. But yeah, I play around with Burno Flame a lot. I love that, but I never really messed around much with Fire's Deadly Sin. Now that Fire's Deadly Sin is patched and it's fixed, and people won't think I'm trying to cheat or glitch, I use it more often. And this video and the next video that I do that goes over this build, which should be the last one, I think. That should be all the footage burned up. See what I did there? No pun intended. We'll be using Fire's Deadly Sin more often. It's actually a pretty good wake up in its own right, after a backstab or something like that. And I've got a few examples that we will show off. These froggy boys, not my type of froggy boys. Look at these. There's two different types of froggy boys out there. There's the Saint Riot froggy wizards, who just wear a frog head because it's cute. And then there's these types of froggy boys. And these are the... You remember in Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, how all the other reindeer were mean to Rudolph? All the other frog heads are mean to my frog build. So, you know, I gotta use my Pyromancer here to take up for Frog, you know? Against these people who bully him and kicked him out of the swamp that he lived in, you know? Look at this guy. What a brain genius. Simply incredible, isn't it? And you know what? This invasion is a testament to not just me as an invader. No. In fact, more so, I think it's a testament to how good a Lindell Knight, a Lindell Soldier, and a Perfumer are. Those, you know, three enemies, you know, just kind of huddled up together right there. And the Lindell Soldier will, like, blow a trumpet. When they blow that trumpet, it alerts the Lindell Knight and the Perfumer. And between those three enemies, I was able to get one of those guys alone for a minute, and then make an escape when they had, you know, dealt with the threat. If you can, you know, it's important to, like, keep in mind where these types of conglomerations hang out, these types of groups of enemies. It's important to remember, you know, where these types of dudes are, because they're, you know, they will absolutely bail you out, which is beautiful, absolutely wonderful. And then the Omen Killer. I don't know why that guy was checking out the Omen Killer like I wasn't still hanging around, you know, and he went over there and just, like, stood right next to him. It's a baffling decision, but, you know, hey, who am I to complain? I'll take it. That's just fine with me. I might make an entire video where I just try and hammer home the point, like, hey, know where there are some enemies at, because that will make you a better invader. Little King of the Hill action right here. You can fall off of this platform, I guess I'll call it. Like, if I were to walk directly backwards, I would be fine. But I don't want to. I want to play King of the Hill with this guy. This is, you know, if I'm going to do a 1 versus 1 fight, invasion type thing, then this is the kind of thing that I want. You know what I mean? Something silly, something goofy. So yeah, if I had walked straight off in that direction right there, I'd been alright. But the opponent rolled off, you know, slightly to the south corner of that, I think, and you can't survive that, so GG's. But that was a fun little invasion. Nice little King of the Hill type fight. And invading here, this is always fun. Anytime I invade in a place where it makes sense for a Pyromancer to hang out, you know, especially because all my invasions are random. Look at that combo. God, that's disgusting. The fully charged O-Flame into the Flaming Strike. Anytime I, you know, use the invade near far, and I wind up somewhere and I'm like, oh yeah, this is a cool place for an invader, because this is the little Pyromancer camp. All the Flame Monks hang out here with all of these other enemies. I don't know what they're called off the top of my head. The Guilty. They use the Staff of the Guilty. So this is a cool place to be an invader who's like a pyromancy themed build. There's also a fire prelate in that big fort over there, guarding the cookbook for the Giant's Flame Pots, I think. I have to be careful though, because that weird wagon will absolutely wreck me. And then Fire's Deadly Sin. This is such a brutal way to force someone to panic. It's not a lot of damage at all, but like, it is damage. And I don't know if you've ever faced Fire's Deadly Sin, but like, there's like a screen shake. And so you got this screen shake going on, and it is just a little much. This invasion, I clipped like save 30 seconds on my PlayStation. Save the last 30 seconds. So I missed the part where I spawned in, and there was another invader down there in that elevator, and that invader killed a phantom. And then the host came back up here, I guess, to try and resummon that phantom real quick. But I just happened to spawn at the top of the elevator, which was beautiful, perfect positioning. Nice scythe play, but a little over-aggressive. If I didn't have flasks, or if I was low on health or something, you know, that would have been fine. But I've got... Now you've kind of like shown your hand a little bit. I know you'll be super aggressive. So I'm going to be a little more careful. And then, boom! Look at the range on that. There's a little explosion when you use Fire's Deadly Sin. We'll talk a little bit more about that next time. Until then, later, y'all.